don't know, guys. I think I'm losing my critical touch. I consumed 3 pieces of media in the last week or so, and enjoyed them all. Supergirl the movie, Halo Campaign Evolved, the video game, and Evil Dead Burn, also a movie. I enjoyed all 3, quite a bit in fact. But when you go online, you see that everyone pretty much hated all 3 of these things. Am I losing touch with the tastes of the common man? Am I getting a little too soft? Too easy to please? Or maybe, just maybe, the world has gone excessively contrarian. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to answer that question with any sort of certainty, but I'm definitely going to try. Hey everybody, it's your boy Ralph, back once again with another video. Today's video is mostly going to be a review of Evil Dead Burn, which came out earlier this summer. It's the 3rd in the contemporary Evil Dead trilogy, not to be confused with the original 80s and 90s Evil Dead trilogy. And honestly, I like this movie a bunch, a whole bunch, but I'll get into it. So Evil Dead Burn is a direct sequel to Evil Dead Rise, which is a somewhat indirect sequel to The Evil Dead, which came out, 2010 or something. Now when I say direct sequel, it doesn't follow the characters from Evil Dead Rise, but it does follow the Evil Dead people from Evil Dead Rise. I'm gonna refer to them as Deadites. Kind of a corny name, but we'll go with it. And just for those of you unfamiliar with the Evil Dead genre, Deadites are demon-possessed zombies with a little bit of supernatural capabilities and a whole lot of malice. So the Deadite at the end of Evil Dead Rise was this lady in a lake, and we start this movie with a couple of bros going fishing on that very lake. And things do not turn out very well for either of them. And it does set the stage for this to be a particularly gruesome affair, which it is. And also pretty early in the movie, we see this other guy messing around with some Evil Dead literature and some Evil Dead recordings. So this guy's learning about the evil literature and about a secret society called the Circle of Wise Men, which is frankly a pretty stupid name and probably the dumbest thing in the sequel trilogy. But these guys are trying to follow the Evil Dead, and of course, by doing so, they're raising a whole bunch of Evil Dead. And they're also trying to come up with a way to destroy them. So file that in your brains for a bit later. Getting to the main plot of the movie, it's a family affair. And we start by meeting some of the younger folks in a club. There are 2 brothers, the nice brother and the mean brother. Now the mean brother's a real piece of work, especially with his wife, whom he does not treat with all that much kindness. And they have a pretty horrendous argument, and he storms off into the night, fully drunk and or driving. And you might even say he gets his comeuppance when he slams his car into the Deadite chick and ends up getting into a bit of a crash. This Deadite from the lake, she is particularly vicious and basically sets a whole car on fire. One could say bro got himself an Evil Dead burn. So yeah, so we're at the funeral now, right? And let's just quickly diagram this little family tree, right? You got the brother who died, and his brother, the so-called nice brother. The nice brother has a girlfriend, and the dead brother had that wife that he wasn't very nice to, okay? Now they had 2 parents. Both of them are pretty questionable. And a grandma who's got a bad case of dementia, and also a pretty bad case of whatever it is when you're missing a leg. And then, no longer alive is the grandfather. And sure, we later learn that he was the guy with them tapes. One of the wise men from the Circle of Wise Men. So this is our crew, you know? And honestly, except for the girlfriend and the widow, they're all a bunch of weasels and jerks. And honestly, I'd say that'd be a mistake for a movie. But this movie makes it work pretty well. This Evil Dead movie almost ends before it really gets going. You see, you got this guy who works for the funeral home. He's dragging his son's crispy corpse into the incinerator to finish the job. And just as he's about to flip the switch, yep, the father comes in, wanting to say one final goodbye. But of course he starts hearing some knocking. Yeah, and he cracks it right open. And oh no, leave that guy alone. That guy didn't do nothing, man. The Deadites are really indiscriminate. It's kind of frustrating, you know? So they all head back to one of them creepy houses. And the father over here looks like he might have some of that Deadite juice in him. So yeah, that's the whole setup. You got this severely dysfunctional family, all kind of cramped into this horrific old house. Nothing good's gonna happen from there. And I think maybe its general downbeat nature might be what turns some people off. But here's how I see it. I found Evil Dead Burn to be delightfully miserable. It is so miserable. And horrific things happen. And it goes way over the top. It all feels very intentional. It's meant to be like tortuous. And I think it pulls it off. So you got this French director, Sebastian Vanacek, and the other movie that he made was called Infested. And it was about, what if a bunch of mutant spiders invaded the projects? And it has some similarities with it, you know? Most of the characters are sour, with dark pasts. And we got some of the same vibes here. In fact, there's only one character you're kinda rooting for. Besides the dog, that is, right? In fact, the whole thing feels very European. And it reminds me of some of the extreme European movies from the 2000s and 2010s. And that's in its favor. And make no mistake, this movie is not humorless. It's just the humor is a lot more subtle. And sometimes you're just watching a scene play out and you're just like, is this still going? It is absolutely trying to be ridiculous. Overall, I found this was a very welcome entry into the Evil Dead canon. You know, and getting back to the other media, and Supergirl. Yeah, I'm not saying it's the greatest movie ever, but it's good. Don't listen to anyone else. Only listen to your boy Ralph. I mean, end of the day, you gotta make up your own mind. You don't gotta listen to me or anybody else. But maybe try not to hop on the negative bandwagon. I mean, look at Odyssey, for example. So many people were going online and saying it was terrible, most of whom didn't watch it. And it turns out a lot of people are having a pretty good time with that movie. So I think on that note, I'm gonna wrap things up. I know that I did a pretty poor job at covering my central premise. I'm working on it. I might have to start scripting things instead of counting on my brain to come up with all this stuff off the cuff. But what are you gonna do? But thanks so much for stopping by, and I hope you enjoyed it on some level. And I hope you're enjoying yourself out there, you know? Take care, everybody. Bye.